Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. Apologies, this is not my usual endeavour to be sat at my desk doing uploads, but I've got a lunch appointment with my dad today. I'm looking forward to seeing it early Father's Day. So I'll keep this one real brief. Couple of transfer news, views, and clues for you to get through. On top of that, there's an article out, which is what I'm going to start with. And if I'm entirely honest, this is the reason why I decided to press the record button. I wasn't going to make a video today until I got home, and I'm doing a 5:30 streaming with Sava. But this is something that I just thought I couldn't let go, right? So Tottenham players held mid-season meeting with Ange Postecoglou. ESPN's James Ollie has now revealed that the tactical change... Oh, hang on. Sorry, I've started the article too far up. It has been claimed that some of Tottenham Hotspur players held a meeting with Ange Postecoglou to demand that he adopt a more pragmatic style of play in the latter part of the 24-25 campaign. Ange Postecoglou has garnered plenty of praise for tweaking his approach in the latter stage of the Europa League campaign. The Australian decided to play on the counter-attack away at Eintracht Frankfurt, Bodo Glimt, and in the final against United. And the approach had the desired result, with Tottenham keeping a clean sheet in all three matches to lift the trophy. However, it has now been claimed by one journalist that the decision was not entirely his own doing. ESPN's James Ollie has now revealed that the tactical change only came about after some senior Tottenham first-team players met with Postecoglou to ask him to reach a compromise on their opponents. The journalist claimed that several senior players in the squad made it clear to the Australian that they needed to adapt to the opposition, with the Spurs boss deciding to compromise on some of his principles. Ollie said on ESPN FC, "My understanding is that the players were not entirely supportive of Ange Postecoglou's approach in the second half of the season. I believe a group of them went to see him and sort of said, look, we need to do more work on the opposition. We need to be more versatile. That's one of the reasons why you saw a more pragmatic approach in Europe, where there was a competition where they actually could win something. I think there was a compromise there between what Ange Postecoglou wanted to do, how he wanted to play. We are who we are, mate. We go and play how we want to play wherever we are." And the players sort of saying, well, that's all well and good, but we've got 5, 6, 7, 8 players out injured. We're not actually the best team in the league like you've had at Celtic in Japan in your career. We need to be more balanced in our approach. I mean, what are we doing here? He said the journalist added, the conversations I had with some of the senior figures at the club can't get past 22 league defeats, even though they have won their first trophy in 17 years. They just cannot get past that number and how badly that has affected the squad. Now, look, I don't know James Ollie. I don't know if he, is talking from his own perspective on Tottenham's manager, whether there's a bias there, whether the people that have told him that have got that bias. I don't know, right? As always, I'm just reacting to the news and bringing it to your attention if you hadn't seen it. But I tell you what, guys, that is, if true, bonkers. It's bonkers. And I'll add this. Right? There were other rumours out last week that it was Christian Romero who asked and insisted that Tottenham adapt and adopt to a back three at times. And that allegedly, during the final, Ange Postecoglou only pivoted to that back three to hold things out when Christian Romero signalled from the pitch. Again, I didn't see that. I don't remember it. And I wasn't even aware of it. But when that story came out, Sim from We Are Tottenham TV, shout out to him, I love him to pieces. He said, and he's a massive supporter of Ange Postecoglou, he said, I do remember at the game seeing Romero's signal, and he initially thought it was for an injury. And after that, the tactical change happened. So what are we doing here? Is the tail wagging the dog? Like, the coach is supposed to coach. The players are supposed to do what the coach asks. But if the players are demanding tactical adaptations and the coach is compromising, which clearly is worked out, then, again, speculation. And I'm not trying to come at this from an angle, right? Because if you've watched me over the last couple of weeks, I'm sort of jumping over both sides of the fence every 5 minutes here. Not deliberately. I'm not trying to be a flip-flop, but I'm trying to, it's a very difficult, for someone that goes out of their way to try to see things from every angle, like a protractor. Like I in so doing, I go through like spurts of being like, let's not disrupt, let's not upset or rock the boat sort of thing. It's not worth the risk. But then also you can't overlook the 22 defeats, yada yada yada. So I'm kind of like, I'm trying to just figure out how I feel, openly to you. But if that's true, then first of all, are the players that are coming out saying I've got a special relationship, is that because they're being listened to and that they have a little bit of sway, a little bit of like influence in shaping the way that the team plays? And I'm not necessarily saying that that's even a bad thing, but by extension of that, if that hadn't happened, if Ange hadn't compromised, if it's true, then would we still be doing, the front foot philosophy that was referenced in that quote? And if we were, then would we be out of the Europa League? And then there'd be nothing more to negotiate here, nothing more to discuss regarding Ange Postecoglou's future. Again, I've been saying for the last week now that part of me wants to see Ange, the story play out, because I feel like it will be one of those shows that is left on a cliffhanger and then never gets, never gets that next season that's bought by a producer or bought by a broadcaster, and the season just disappears and you never get to know how the story finished. Part of me wants to know how this figures out, because I don't know. Like, on the one hand, he's the most successful manager we've had in 40 years, and therefore that is going to be etched his name in glory. On the other hand, I personally feel like when I listen to all the things that he says, I land on this idea that you're just a bit of a salesman, or very much a salesman, and you say whatever needs to be heard in order to make yourself right and to kind of gloss over previous mistakes and obfuscate and kind of make the detail opaque, and then just make everyone remember the one thing that you said that you backed yourself in that turned out to be correct. I want to see how it pans out to know whether or not this guy deserves all of the flowers or deserves the criticism. Because right now there's two schools of thought, and if the story ends here, then I think that we'll all be left arguing about this for years to come. This season will surely sort of finish that story and let everyone know either way. So part of me is curious enough, maybe like sick enough to want, like, sort of, sadomasochist, like, you kind of want the pain to know the truth kind of thing. I don't know, but I tell you what, like, if it's true that Ange Postecoglou kind of fell on his sword and compromised in order to satisfy the whims of the players, then on that basis, should we also be considering what is the merit of the words of the players that are backing him 100%? Is it because that they're able to manipulate, bad word, don't mean that, able to influence the manager to do what they want? Or should we celebrate the fact that the players are on the pitch and that they kind of are able now to communicate to the manager real-time information, almost like a frontline, army expert that's sending information back to the general? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I've just read this article and I find it absolutely mind-boggling, especially if in the final, Ange Postecoglou was waiting for the trigger from Romero to make the tactical pivot. Again, don't know if it's true, but the rumours are out there, the stories are out there. Let me know in the comments, guys. Let me know in the comments. And if it is true, does it shape your opinion of whether Ange, has earned the right for a season 3? Or does it kind of say, well, the only reason that we're even having this conversation is not because of what he wanted to do, it's because the players wanted to do it, because they think that it's madness at this level to have this kind of, I don't know how else to describe it, but arrogance or self-confidence to the point where, it doesn't matter what you guys do. I remember from day one of Ange Ball, I was like, wait, I remember him saying that we don't really focus too much on the other teams. We're just worried about ourselves. Like the whole thing is, we're not worried about the defeats in isolation. It's about the message. And I was like, well, you're missing a trick, because the margins at this level, the difference between is inches, right? Like the difference between success and failure is inches. And so to sacrifice the opportunity to find a little microscope's worth of value by understanding that this team that we're playing on Saturday is susceptible to this sort of attack, or be careful because that guy is used in an unconventional way. like the SWOT analysis, right? What are the strengths and weaknesses? Where are the opportunities and where are the threats? And if I was led to believe for all that time that was kind of like it's secondary importance behind we just play our way because we're going to have enough of the ball, therefore create enough opportunities. You put enough of them away, then you're going to outscore the opposition, right? And that was how it was interpreted. I know we sort of changed in the Carabao Cup, but now I'm wondering what. In the Europa League, but now I'm wondering why would that have happened had it not been for the players' intervention? And if so, and if you're following my train of thought here, then is that also problematic? Again, I'm just saying that this is this guy James Ollie's saying from ESPN. I don't know what his motivations are. I've never heard his name before, so I don't know if he's already if he's Ange out or if he's got ins. I'm assuming at ESPN he probably if he's a journalist he probably has some connections, but I don't know. It's a fascinating article, and I think that it should absolutely be the topic of discussion on this channel. It will be tonight at 5:30, as long as I get back from Surbiton quickly enough. I'm worried about the timings, but even if I have to push the show back and Sava can't make it because he's got other commitments, then I'll do a show tonight to talk about this. But for me, it is absolutely bonkers. Just quickly, guys, a couple other stories for you. This is the update. So Fenerbahce is a story. I've got the screen back up on the. Let's have a look. It's not up on the screen yet, is it? 1 second. Fenerbahce are lining up Yves Bissouma swoop. Turkish Super League giants Fenerbahce reportedly keen on signing 28-year-old Malian midfielder Yves Bissouma from Tottenham Hotspur. That's according to the Hard Tackle, or actually that's coming from Hurriyet. Look, I'm surprised we haven't seen any Bissouma links already because I think that we can all probably assume that if Tottenham are going to rebuild the midfield and every link is suggesting that Tottenham are focusing on getting in a superior midfielder, then someone has to leave. Most people would suggest that it's him. We haven't seen any links regarding him going. This is the first as far as I'm aware. But for what it's worth, as soon as I see Turkish outlet, it gives me nightmares because I've been muddied about Altay Bayindir when there was Turkish outlets that were saying that we had signed the guy. Thank God we didn't. He ended up going to Manchester United and Sonny beat him from the corner. And I also remember I forget the guy's name. It was a Scandinavian name that was playing at centre back that I spoke about for months and months and months in the summer of 2023. That was linked forever. The Galatasaray centre back. I forget his name. It was Scandinavian name, but either way, and that never materialised. But all those articles were saying out of Turkish media saying that it was done deal. So I'm not going to take any notice of it, but I just wanted to share it with you. Another story here from the Tottenham back is talking about Estupiñán. This is not the first time I've seen this link. I brought it to you guys' attention on a live stream. I didn't do it on an upload, but Estupiñán, the Brighton left back, has been linked with Tottenham. And the stories are kind of just growing. At the moment, they're in the aggregator stage. I'm not going to take too much time on this one, but a really good player. 5 goals, 14 assists last season, I believe. And I've always loved the Stupiñán, and I really do. He's like he's in the same category as like a Mark Cucurella for me. Like very underrated, very useful, gets forward, but defensively solid, balanced, can get back, and just a tricky player, tricky to negotiate. And I don't think that we will go after him personally. I think that, as I've said before, that if Tottenham are looking for players to bring in, given that we have to challenge the complexities of the Champions League, where you have this club-trained section of the squad registration process, it makes it complicated. And I don't think that Tottenham have the space in the squad to bring in foreign players in areas of the team that are not going to be first choice improvements. So, like if you're going to go for a central midfielder and you're going to go and get me, Morten Højlund from Sporting, or a Hugo Larsson or a Polini or whatever, then I'm more than happy for that. And I don't want Tottenham in any way, shape or form to have like considerations or contingencies around the profile of the player that we are looking for when it comes to improving the first team, right? But what I'm okay with is if you put those things into play when it comes to adding depth or value to an area of the team that we're already good in. And I think in the fullback space, we're good, right? We've got 3 fullbacks that are crazily good. Udogie, Spence, and Pedro Porro. Yes, we need a 4th. Yes, it will be interesting. And I don't necessarily want us to just go out and get someone that's, either a homegrown player or a club-trained player or a profile that fits what Tottenham look for, like young, that can be an asset that appreciates all of that stuff. But I'd understand it if that was the application that was used in that scenario. And so, like, if Kyle Walker-Peters is the guy because he ticks a club trained box, he ticks a homegrown box, and he'll do a good job and he can play on both sides, whatever. I'll understand it. I won't be like, wow, what a signing, but I'll understand it. But when it comes to like a midfielder, I don't want to see any of these conditions that he has to be below the age of 22 and he has to be homegrown or any of that shit. Not interested. We need a monster. And if that guy lives on the moon and he's 85,000 years old, so be it. If he's the right fit, that's it. That's the line in the sand. If he's the right guy for the job, I don't care about any of the other conditions. Little update regarding Roony Bardghji. Here we go. His contract development. Tottenham Hotspur have been long-time admirers of the Swedish starlet Roony Bardghji, and a huge development regarding his future at Copenhagen has potentially handed the Lily Whites a golden chance to sign him. This is according to Spurs Web, and they're referencing another article. Let me bring it back up for you so that you can see it. Where am I here? Here we go. He only recently returned. He was massive injury problems. He's out of so Copenhagen have failed to tie him down to a new contract. So their season ends in December. So he's got 6 months left on his contract, and it will be gone. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tottenham looking to pay Copenhagen some cheap compensation, maybe like sort of 8 million, something like that. And I think that's one of those. Savra always talks about the kind of roll the dice on the punts, like the spray and plays, if you like, if you're a gambling man. I think that Roony Bardghji, look, he's injury prone for sure. He's had two horrendous injuries, and that's a problem. But the fact that he's out of contract very shortly, and the fact that he can't, according to this story, that Copenhagen have failed to get him to a new contract. I think maybe if you were to go and offer them 10 million quid right now, then we might be able to get that guy. And look, he's a really real talent. If you watched him in the I think it was the Europa League or the Champions League. Last season before last now, sort of last season, however you want to think of it. He was tidy. What he did against Manchester United, what he did against Galatasaray, etc. It was very interesting to see. So, be interesting one. But like I say, I'm a little bit concerned about the fact that he had a long-term injury, came back and got injured again. Don't really need that when we've got a terrible medical team. But it's a story that won't go away, and I think that one is likely. So we'll keep an eye on that one, guys. 100%. I don't really think there's too much else I want to go through with you. Right now, apart from that, there's a Tottenham eyeing a move for Amir Rrahmani, who's a Napoli centre-back who can also play right-back and left-back. When asked, I'll show you his stats. It's an interesting one because his stats actually suggest that he's horrendous at defending. But I don't think he is. What I've seen of him, I think he's a real solid guy. He's 31 years old. I don't really understand the link unless Tottenham are just bringing him in. It's not even really worth talking about, but just for the sake of the video, he's a fantastic ball playing centre back, right? You can see right here, he's absolutely brilliant at getting around the pitch as well. He's athletic, he's physically fit, he's tall, he's good in the air, and he can get forward, like outperform in the way of contributions, mainly from aerial threats, as a centre back. And he can bomb it up the line if needed. He's that versatile across the back line he's physically capable of playing in a variety of those positions. I don't see it happening. I don't know why he would be leaving unless Napoli are bringing in another centre back. I'm not familiar if they are, but this is obviously the concern, right? When you look at these stats here, it doesn't look like he's doing much in the way of defending at Napoli, right? Because he's being used in a different sort of system and a different sort of model. And Napoli, obviously, a very successful team that can put most teams under a lot of pressure. But I don't think there's nothing going to happen there. So nothing Berghvall of a story. But just because it's there, I brought it to your attention, guys. I'm going to leave it there. But that's the main takeaway for me is what the hell is that about, right? If it's true, if ESPN's guy James Ollie he's sincere and he's saying that Ange Postecoglou is reshaping his tactics, not because he wants to, but because he's been asked to or demanded to by the senior players, then are we working here now with a new thesis that the tail is wagging the dog? The coach is being coached in real time, waiting for a signal from Romero? And is that the reason why the relationship is so tight? Because Romero feels like, he's trusted to the point where he can do this like a baseball sign or whatever, and then all of a sudden Ange gives the thumbs up and they go to a back three. What are we doing here? I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm leaning to that it's a fucking disgrace, if I'm entirely honest. But if it's true, maybe you're going to come at it from a different angle. If so, please let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and comment, guys. And by the way, if you do enjoy these videos, they're on Spotify as well. I will see you on the next one tonight, the live stream with Sava and I at 5:30, as long as I can get home in time. Take care. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.